I started training the CSRs. How do you book those types of calls? Customer gets on the phone, they say, hey, I'm looking for a ballpark price. Great. Tell me more about your situation. What's going on? Well, I've got this air conditioner and it's about 15 years old and it's just not working like it used to. Well, what's it doing? It's just blowing hot air. My gosh, it's terrible. How long has it been doing it? Oh, last few days. So you've been in this 100-degree weather over the last 3 days? Yeah, man, it's brutal. Well, look, you've called the right place. We can help. When would you like us out? Oh, geez, this afternoon would be good. And we're rolling.
So, hey, everybody, I'm super excited today to be here with Brigham Dickinson, the CEO of Power Selling Pros. Power Selling Pros, I'd be surprised if you guys don't know them in the industry. They're the leading CSR training program, in-home services. They're recommended by many of the large manufacturers in the space, especially Lennox. And Brigham, I know you've got a ton of value to provide to the audience. So thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the opportunity.
Cool. So, I kind of want to, I'm a numbers guy. And so like one of the things I'm always looking into is kind of like, the KPIs and, like what KPIs, like what numbers, are we looking, to impact? So when it comes to the services that, Power Selling Pros offers, like what are those KPIs? And like, if somebody is executing 100% based off of like your training and your consulting, like what are the metrics that they should be looking at? And what are some of like the outcomes that are possible with that?
That's a great question. So the one KPI that most contractors talk about and think about is call conversion, right? Calls versus set appointments.
Booking rate.
Yeah. And I would say that the easiest way to calculate that is first to decide where you're at. Where are you really, right? Because according to Service Titan, average call conversion in our industry is at 42%. Most contractors listening to that stat are going to be like, there's no way I'm only booking 42% of my phone calls. And many of them may be using Service Titan and saying, I know I don't have that low of a call conversion. Well, they have this tool that's called the abandoned call list. Mm-hmm. And whenever a CSR decides that a call is not a bookable call, they're able to take that call and put it into the abandoned call list. So even if we are using Service Titan, even if Service Titan is providing a call conversion, that's not to say that that call conversion is accurate. Now, I'm not saying or insinuating that the CSR is being dishonest. Sure. It could be that they really believe that the call was not a bookable call. But if the customer gets on the phone and they want a ballpark price, although the CSR may say, oh, this is just a price shopper, that is actually a bookable call. And it's important for them to have the tools and the skill set to book that call. You see, here's what happens, is that we deal with fear from one customer that treated us poorly once upon a time. And so we have that recall come into play, right? Whenever a customer calls in and says, hey, what do you charge to come out? We have that recall come into play and we deal with fear. And so we say to ourselves that this isn't a bookable call. And so we prejudge that call within the first 5 seconds of the call. And we say, hey, we don't give pricing with phone. Okay, thanks, bye. And we put that in the abandoned call list. And of course, we're booking 100% of our phone calls and everybody thinks we're amazing. The truth is that we're probably losing, even good contractors are probably losing 40% of their phone calls. We find that most companies that we work with are booking about 60% of their phone calls.
Wow.
So let's talk about that for just a moment. Let's say that you're bringing in per CSR 30 phone calls a day. Now, if a CSR is listening to this, they're thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, I'm answering a whole lot more phone calls than 30 calls a day. Rest assured, business owner, that I'm not spending any time doodling here. I got calls coming in all day, and 30 calls is kind of low. And that's fine. Let's be conservative. Let's say that it is 30 phone calls, that even though you're taking in a whole lot more than that. Let's also say that you are booking at 60%, which means that 60% out of 30 is about 18 calls. Exactly. See, you're better at the math than I am.
I've got this guy. I'm cheating.
So let's keep that calculator on hand there. I appreciate you doing that, Michael. So we're at 18 calls now. So those calls are the booked calls. Now let's take our average ticket. Now on a replacement call, it could be It could be $8,000 for a new furnace. It could be, $7,000 for a new condenser. So let's just say that it's about 15 grand on a replacement call. But we don't get as many replacement calls as we do service calls. Now on our service calls, it could be a couple of $100, it could be 1,000, it could be 2,000, depending on the service that's provided. So let's just say, for the sake of simple math, that it's $500. Now let's take that $500 across the board. Okay. So per day, if we're booking 18 calls a day per CSR, let's just take 18 times it by $500. What do we get? $9,000 a day. Now, there's 5 working days in a week. I realize that some may be working more, some may be working less. Let's just say that we're going to times that by 5. So the $9,000 figure times 5 is
45,000.
45,000. Now, we don't work 52 weeks a year. Chances are we have some days off, we have some PTO, so on and so forth. So let's just say 50 weeks out of the year. So we times that by 50, and our result is
2.25 million.
See, here's the interesting thing about our industry is that it's a phenomenal business. It's a phenomenal business where we can make a lot of mistakes and still make money.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a strength that is also a weakness.
Can you explain that? Why is it a strength that's also a weakness?
Well, it's a strength because it doesn't take a lot of work. We can still make a lot of mistakes and still make money. And if we're making money and we don't have a clear idea as to where we want to be as a business owner and what we want to do with our business, when we write ourselves a check for 50 grand a month, we say to ourselves, hey, this is a good business.
I'm rocking.
I've got a boat. I've got my truck that I've always wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the house that I've always wanted. I've arrived.
Yeah.
Now, the sad truth is when you go to, say, for an example, an investor that may want to buy your company, and that's kind of a popular thing right now, right? It's been that way since 2020. Everybody is building it up and selling it. One of the first things that a company is going to look at is, okay, what's your net? Now, if your net's at 50, maybe 70, well, then your company is probably only worth about 6 or 7 million. Now, to a contractor, they're going to think to themselves, what are you talking about? I write myself checks for $50,000, $60,000 a month. Well, the thing is that even though that may be good for you, that's not good for an investor. Okay, if you want to make 10 million out of that company, maybe even 11, maybe even 12, you've got to be bringing in about 135,000 in net a month. Now, in the back of your head as a business owner, you're going, holy crap, why would I need that much money? What would I do with that much money? And the tax bracket that I would be in, the amount of taxes that I'd have to write to the government, it doesn't make any sense why I would want to make that kind of money when I'm making a happy living now. Well, the fact of the matter is if you ever want to get out of that business, you need to start making that kind of money, at least if you want to make 10 million or more. And so you've got to be thinking about the future. Now, let's go back to the specific KPI that we were talking about before. Booking the calls that are already coming into your office is the lowest hanging fruit in your business to make more money. Okay. For example, let's say that we increase your call conversion by I don't know, 25%, puts us at 85%. So 30 calls. Oh, you're bringing this up. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy. So
okay. So let's say
we
get it to exactly 85%. Man, this is incredible. So so we book at 85%, 25.5 appointments instead of 18 at $500 a ticket. Now we're making $12,000 a day instead of $9,000. Mm-hmm. Now we're making $63,000 a week instead of $45,000, and now we're a $3 million shop as opposed to a $2.2 million shop. What am I saying here, Michael? What I'm saying here is that by booking more calls, the calls are coming into our office, the lowest hanging fruit. This is the easiest way to increase our net and start working towards a valuable buyout.
Well, what's wild too is, by increasing your booking rate, your marketing costs don't go up. You're getting the same number of calls. Your staff might need to increase because you're taking in more jobs. So you might need to have like more people, like you're talking about 25 appointments a day instead of 18 appointments a day,
Mhm.
but like the marketing stays the same, the CSRs stay the same. And so really like all you're doing is just getting more juice out of the squeeze.
Yes. See, how I got into this business is I was doing advertising, SEO, and pay per click
Mm-hmm.
many years ago. And one of my clients, Troy Nearings, brought me in, Nearings Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, brought me in and said, "Hey, our leads are no good." I said, "Well, what do you mean the leads are no good?" "Well, they just want a ballpark price. They just want to know what your charges come out. They just want to talk to a technician. We're not booking these calls. We need to put this on hold until we can book these calls." And I said, "Troy, those are bookable calls. It's not the advertising that you need to stop. It's the CSRs that need to be trained."
How
And
did
he
you know that?
says, um, so I, first of all, I was trying to keep the account. I didn't want him to fire me. And second of all, I used to answer phones for a company called Arctic Air in Chico, California.
Okay.
Royal Hockley was my boss. He's the owner of Royal Air now. It's a $30 million company now, kicking butt in small towns like Chico, California, and
Hmm.
Redding and Red Bluff.
How big are those
Those individual
red?
companies in each of those cities, they're not
Yeah,
they're
those
not big at
cities,
all.
Red
They're
Bluff,
like, yeah,
California,
yeah, check it out.
population.
Check it
Oh
out.
my gosh. Yeah, let me just share this with you guys. Red Bluff, California, we're talking about 14,000 people there.
Yeah. Look at Chico real quick.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, of course. Um,
It's probably a little bit more in Chico.
Chico,
Yeah.
101,000. It's
So
a
so
decent
double
sized
that.
city.
Yeah. Look at Paradise real quick.
Sure.
Paradise was the place that had a big fire years ago.
Mm, yeah, even smaller. It
Yeah.
looks like there's a massive drop in their population between 2018 and
Because of the
2020.
fire. There was a huge fire in
Oh,
Paradise.
wow.
Yeah. Burned 30% of the city.
Mm,
Yeah, it was brutal. So it's in that area that they're doing 30 million.
yeah.
They're crushing it. So there I answered phones. I did the marketing for Royal and I answered the phones. And I was taught by Kevin Comerford, who owns Service Champions. And he's got a
Okay.
company in Concord and he sold out to Wrench Group. So I
So when you
learned,
saw these calls coming in, you've had a background in answering the phones. And so you actually had the authority to know, like, look, you guys can do better with this. And then what happened next?
yeah. So I trained them. I started training the CSRs
Hmm.
for free to keep the account.
Yeah.
And so, how do you book those types of calls? Customer gets on the phone. They say, "Hey, I'm looking for a ballpark price." Great. Tell me more about your situation. What's going on? "Well, I've got this air conditioner and it's about 15 years old and it's just not working like it used to." "Well, what's it doing?" "It's just blowing hot air." "My gosh, it's terrible. How long has it been doing it?" "Oh, last few days." "So you've been in this 100-degree weather over the last 3 days?" "Yeah, man, it's brutal. My wife is really upset. My kids can't sleep. It's brutal." "Well, look, you've called the right place. We can help. When would you like us out?" "Oh, geez, this afternoon would be good."
Hmm.
And we're rolling. So just by showing them that you're listening, showing them that you care, reassuring them they've called the right place, what you're doing there psychologically is you're helping them feel safe. You're helping them feel comfortable, and they're having just a little bit of fun, right? Because you're there relating with them, you're listening to them, you're reassuring them they've called the right place. You're hitting all the emotional hot buttons right out of the gate. If you do those things out of the gate, they're going to feel understood, they're going to feel cared about, and they're going to feel like they've called the right place. Those are the emotional questions that they really want answered, not a ballpark price. Not, "Hey, I want to talk to a technician." Not, "Hey, I just want to know what you charge to come out." They think that's what they want to know so that they feel safe, so that they feel comfortable,
Right.
right? So that they feel like this is the right company that they want to work with. But by listening to them, understanding where they're coming from, caring about their situation, and reassuring them that they're in good hands, you've taken care of all those emotional needs. And it's very simple. When would you like us to come out is a powerful question to get them thinking about us coming out, as opposed to those other questions they initially had in mind. So that's how we go about booking the calls that currently they're not booking, the 30 to 40% of them. And once they know how to book those calls, now they become empowered, right? Once they help a comfortable, feel safe, comfortable, and they're having a little bit of fun, now we can start talking about the KPIs of the CSR. So let's go into that for a moment, if you don't mind,
Love
Michael.
that. Love that.
So a CSR looks at that job. If there's not a way to make more money, as just that, a job. I clock in, I clock out, and I'm not going to be there very long. I'm going to find another job that pays more at some point. However, I'll stay in that seat longer if you can give me a way to make more money while I'm in that seat. Okay, basically give me control of my own income. So how do you do that? Well, the best way I found to do that is to get them selling memberships over the phone. Okay, so let's take those same 30 calls that are coming in per CSR. Now, if, and this is a numbers game, Michael, on every call, at the end of the call, you've created an environment of safety, comfort, fun, using the principles that we teach, right? At the end of that call, you simply say, Mr. Jones, I'm looking at your notes. I notice you don't have a membership with us. I'm wondering why not. And the reason why we bring it up is because it prevents things like this, the thing that you're dealing with right now, from happening. I don't want you to be caught out in the cold or out in the heat dealing with this sort of thing. And just get them talking about it. Now, let's say that 20 out of the 30 say, I'm good. I don't need that. Okay. What does that mean? What that means is that 10 say, tell me more. I'm interested. What's going on? Now, let's say that out of that 10, there are only 2 that say, let's do it. Let's do the membership. What that means is that we're bringing in 2 memberships a day per CSR. Now, if I'm the owner, in fact, I was talking to an owner last Friday, and I said, hey, Mr. Owner, what do you pay your CSRs per membership that they sell? And he says, I pay $15 when they sell it. So what do they make in a day if they sell 2 a day?
$30.
Yeah, $30. That's awesome. Now, times that by 5. Same math as before, right? Times that by 5. What do we get a week?
30 times 5, 150 a week.
And then times 50 weeks
Times
out of the
50,
year.
we're talking about $7,500.
$7,500 a year. Now, every time I talk to a CSR and say, hey, how would you like to make an extra $7,500 a year? They are ecstatic about that. Ecstatic. Now, here's the crazy thing. This is only the beginning. What if we can have a CSR that, say, a plumbing call comes in, they book that plumbing call, and the customer's feeling safe, they feel comfortable, they're having fun, and the CSR says, did you know that we also provide heating and cooling services? You do? Yeah. I'm pretty sure things are okay there. All right. So that means that it's running as well as you want it to run. There are no hot or cold areas in the home. Nope, not at all. No one suffers from asthma. Well, I suffer from asthma. In fact, I've got this air purifier in my living room that I just bought to purify the air I breathe in my living room so I can use the inhaler a little bit less often. Well, did you know that we offer indoor air quality products that purify the air and throughout your entire home, not just in one room? Wow, that's cool. Yeah. Why don't we have somebody come out? And they book that heating appointment as opposed to just the plumbing appointment.
Yeah.
Should we not compensate them for that?
Absolutely.
Say you're calling a customer, let them know the technician's on his way, right? Because you typically call 30 minutes before he's on his way. And as you do, you simply say, hey, and be sure to ask him about X, Y, or Z. Okay. And if that technician goes in there and the customer says, hey, CSR reminded me to ask about X, Y, or Z, and the technician sells it, should we not get compensated for that? So essentially what we're doing is with the membership compensation is we're opening up the gateway for the CSR to begin to realize I can make as much money as I want to make right here in this seat. Upselling, cross-selling, membership selling. Now, do we want to go crazy with sales over the phone? No, we want to use good judgment. We want to book that call. We want to wow that customer. We want to make sure that we're the only ones going out. But it's amazing to me how often we miss opportunities when that relationship is there, when the customer does feel safe, when they are having fun. Most of the primary demographic that we're working with, they're baby boomers, and they don't have a lot of people that they talk to. And if they want to talk, and we're talking about things that are going on inside their home, essentially, this is what we want our technicians to do, right? We don't want the technician to walk over to the box, tune it up, and leave, right? We don't want that. We want them to connect with the customer. We want them to earn the tour and walk around and take a look at the entire home. Why couldn't the CSR do the same thing over the phone if the environment's there? And so the bottom line is that CSRs should not be hired to just answer phones. They should be a part of your selling process. And if you can make them a part of your selling process, in my mind, this is the fastest, easiest way to grow your business to where it needs to be, to either get it to the point where, you know what, you just don't, it's not just a boat or a truck anymore. You're investing in real estate, right? You're taking things to a whole new level because you're writing yourself checks for 150 grand a month.
I see. So yeah, what you're saying is like, by fixing this or improving this process in the business, you're able to, as a business owner, you're really able to achieve like levels of growth, levels of income, even possibly like a business sale that would otherwise really not have been possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether you're trying to sell the business or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, another thing that I've heard of, and perhaps you have like better visibility into this, is that when it comes to the company valuation, they're paying a lot of attention to your gross margins. They want to know what your EBITDA is, but don't memberships like also like play into that valuation and into that multiple that a business owner might get?
I would say yes, 5 years ago. Um, Today, what I'm finding is bottom line for investors is net, net, net. What are you bringing in?
Mm,
And what they like to do is they like you to to sell, but then stay on for 2 to 5 years and put some of that money during the sell back in. And sometimes what they do is they say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a third of the sell, and you can keep that. And then we're going to take a third of it and invest it back into the company, and you'll get a piece of the company when we sell it again.
yeah.
But then we're going to take a third and we're going to divide it out into 2 or 3 years, and that'll be your compensation. That's how we'll pay you over time.
Yeah. The buyout.
And the reason why is because
Earnout.
yeah, and the reason why is because I don't want to show the next investor what we were paying you beforehand. So it's a way to increase our net because we're now not paying the leader of the team. The leader of the team is getting paid over time
With the earnout.
this. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's a game.
These finance guys kind of they thought of all of it.
It's a game.
What are you seeing like the average like membership revenue like on a monthly basis?
Average revenue for a company?
Yeah, yeah. Like what are they charging? What are you seeing on average for like a membership agreement on a monthly basis?
Oh, anywhere from $100 to $300. Sometimes it's $399, but it all depends on how many services are involved. Like if they include plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical, it could be a $400 a month type of thing. Whereas if it's just a heating and cooling thing, it could be as low as $50. Now, the reason why we want memberships, let's say we don't want to sell it all. We want to grow this thing and have our kids run it and our kids run it and so on and so forth, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Memberships provides reoccurring income, especially if you're charging monthly.
Sure.
So let's say you've got 10,000 memberships in your marketplace and they're all paying you $150 a month. What's the total there?
10,000 multiplied by 150. We're talking about 100. Oh, is this right?
Yeah, 10,000 times 150
is 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. 10,000 by 150.
Imagine being able to charge. Yeah, you process credit cards every month for $150 on day one. Imagine how that takes care of payroll.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at like the numbers where if the membership rate, if a CSR is able to book, 2 out of 30, because it was like 10 out of 30 are interested in it. 2 out of 30 actually buy. That's 7%. That's 2 memberships a day, 10 a week, 500 a year. Oh, this is just a monthly. This is actually,
you're going to need to divide that 150 by 12 months. If it's just heating and cooling.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 1.5 million. What's going on there? And this is why we do math.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So divide that
Well,
150
still,
bucks by
like
12
the numbers,
months.
and what are we
Let's get
looking
the
at?
right number in there.
Okay.
150 divided by 12.
150 divided by 12 equals, yeah. So that's right. That's how we get the
That
125
makes more
total comp.
sense. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I was looking at
Yeah.
that
So
also.
it's
I'm like, this seems a
150 for
lot.
the year. If it's just heating and cooling, I would say it's if you combine plumbing, heating, and cooling, I see it around 300 bucks for the year. So yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah. But one CSR would basically be able to get monthly revenue to this is actually, yeah, this would be divided by 12 also.
So we'll
At
get
6,000 a month.
$15. We'll get
Yeah.
$15 total if we're the CSR.
Yeah. But this is how they would impact the revenue for the business owner.
That's right.
And then if the business owner is able to get 10,000 memberships, this is the monthly revenue that they'd be able to get.
Yeah.
125,000. One
Yeah.
of the things, Brigham, as I was like doing research, prior to speaking with you, that like really just kind of like struck me as an aha moment was, it's kind of like what you touched on before, is this idea that, the CSR and the technician really being a team, like really like working together. And, I know like, because I've studied sales, within my own company, like one thing that I've noticed is when you have an appointment setter, a really great appointment setter, they'll help to improve the close rate, and so, what I would imagine, and, please like, let me know what you're seeing on your end, but I would kind of imagine that, you know, by having great CSR training, great CSRs like within the company, it would kind of facilitate for those techs to perform better. It might even improve the average ticket that we're seeing. And so, like, what numbers do you have around that, or what is your experience, your boots on the ground experience, like say about that?
Rephrase the question.
So we talked about the CSR directly impacting the booking rate. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about the CSR being able to upsell for memberships as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
how else, like, does great CSR training also impact the conversion rate? Like when the tech goes into the home, are you seeing it possibly impact the average ticket?
All right. So let's talk about that for just a moment. A technician that goes into a home and he's the only one, how does that impact the sale? In other words, he's not competing against anybody else.
Oh, your closing rate is going to be way higher if he doesn't have to compete with anyone.
And that's just it. See, I was at a company called Village Plumbing in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Great company. And he said, "Hey, I want you to do some ride-alongs with my techs, help them with their soft skills, because that's what we specialize in, right?
Sure.
Positive attitude, confidence, listening, caring, reassuring, asking the right questions, building value, being grateful. That's how you create a wow experience, those principles." And so I said, "Sure, let's do it." So I was there on day one in a technician uniform. And on my second call, I was one of 5 bids. And of course, we didn't get that. Mm-hmm. And in the back of my head, I was like, what a waste of time. Like I didn't have a chance against this guy or with this company. And so I went back into the office and I said, "Look, I'm not going to do any more ride-alongs unless we are training your CSRs to book the call, wow the customer, make sure that we're the only ones coming out." And he says, "You feel like they can do all that?" I said, "Yeah, I've been doing it for the last 15 years. Okay. So it's not just about booking the call. Booking the call is a given. We want to wow that customer, right? We want them to feel safe, comfortable, and have fun. We do that over the phone to the point where the customer's like, you know what? I'm done shopping. Do you really think a customer wants to have 5 bids? No, they feel like
That's
have
a pain in the neck.
Yeah. They are afraid. They're afraid. And that's why they get 5 bids. So what is your goal? Your goal is to make sure they feel safe over the phone. The way that you combat fear is with safety. So you make them feel safe over the phone by taking care of their emotional needs so that you're the only one that goes out. What does that do to your sales? Skyrockets. It's easiest way to do it.
This is fascinating. So what I'm hearing is like, it's not necessarily, some magic script where, you can preclude somebody from getting alternate bids. Instead, it's more like really just being adhering to the principles, the principles of helping people feel safe, feel comfortable, that will automatically kind of eliminate their fear and their desire, to get, to feel safe with multiple bids.
Yeah, people are very transactionary without the relationship. And if they still feel, I mean, look, if you're a technician that goes into a home and says, "Where's the box?" essentially,
Mm.
that's it. That's a transactional experience. If I'm a technician, the first thing I want to do is, quite frankly, Michael, treat it like a date. Okay. When you're on a first date and you want to get kissed because she's pretty, right? There are three things you've got to have. You got to have an environment where she feels safe.
Yeah.
She doesn't feel safe, it's not happening. You're not going to get kissed. Okay.
Not a chance.
If she doesn't feel comfortable, guess what? You're not getting kissed. If she's not having just a little bit of fun, dude, you're done. You're not getting a kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things need to. Now, this is usually when a smart alecky technician pipes up and says, "Wait a minute, you want us to kiss our customers?" No, I don't.
Open mouth.
But I do want you to create an environment of safety, comfort, and fun. And the way that you do that is you spend a little bit more time just inside that front door and
Yeah.
talk with them. How do you do it? Well, the same way you do it over the phone. You listen. So I hear you've got an issue with your air conditioner. What's going on? Well, this is what's going on. Wow, when did it start? This is when it started. And let's say that there's something on TV and the kids are watching. Let's say it's Nemo or what have you. And you bring it up and you go, "Oh, Nemo, I love that show." And he's like, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a great show." And whatever. And next thing you know, you're talking about Nemo and how his dad inadvertently was holding him back. And it was interesting to see all the interesting lessons that you can learn from Nemo. And you're just talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And then
Being a person.
next thing you know, he turns his back somewhat towards you, right? The customer turns his back somewhat towards you and he says, "Here, follow me." And now you've got the tour of the house. Yeah. He wanted to show you something, or she wanted to show you something. And you're going around, and as you're going around, you're noticing things like an inhaler on the coffee table, or you're seeing a smoke detector hanging by the wire, or any number of things. You see a leaky faucet in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. You're just noticing things. And as you notice them, you're just kind of saying, "Hey, what's going on there? What's going on there? And why are you putting up? Why are you putting up?" It's amazing what people put up with. It's amazing what they put up with. And if you just ask the right questions with curiosity, right? Because you want to get very curious when you're on this tour. And with your curiosity, you're going to provide options. "Hey, do you know that we do this? Hey, did you know we do that?" Just as we're going around, we're not tattletelling, right? The last thing you want is to go to the box and then each thing you find, you go back to the customer and say, "Hey, by the way," after the third time of doing this, the customer's going to be really frustrated with you. Like, "Hey, dude, you're adding to this bill little by little. Every time you say my name, please stop," right? We call that tattletelling, right? Don't do that. But if they're with you the entire time, you're not tattletelling at all now. You're just discovering together. Okay, you're going through and discovering together all the things that they're putting up with and helping them realize that they don't have to put up with this.
Yeah, there's a better way.
Yeah, look, bottom
there's
line
a better
is,
life for you.
Yeah,
in your home.
Yeah, so you provide them the options, not just the ones that you think make sense, because sometimes we think, "Okay, I'm a customer. This is what I would want." No, time out. You are a customer, that's true, but you are not your customer.
Yeah.
So give them their options. You see, this is how we maintain a buying environment. Whenever I go to the mall and I'm looking around to buy something, I'll buy if I feel safe, I feel comfortable, and I'm having a little bit of fun. If I'm not having fun, I'm going to leave the mall. That's a buying environment. You create that buying environment. You get curious inside that buying environment. You're walking around. You find certain things that you can fix. You provide the options, and you simply get to yes or no. This is where a technician goes, "Wait a minute, no selling? Did I say anything about selling? Did you say anything about selling?" Nobody said anything about selling. All we want to do is create an environment of safety, comfort, and fun. And inside that environment, we're going to get curious, provide options, and simply get to yes or no. And that's it.
It reminds me, back in the day, I was a server in this high-end Italian restaurant in New York City. And I'd have like it was family style, and so you'd have everybody there, and they needed help. Like these people, like they came, they wanted to enjoy their meal, and they just needed help in navigating the menu. And
Hmm.
so they'd ask me questions, and I'd make recommendations to them about like how many dishes based off the size of their party. And hey, like you already ordered like one meat dish, so maybe you want to get a little bit of like a fish dish, or maybe another pasta or a salad to go with that. And then I'd recommend some wine. And it was like, hey, do you guys want this? Do you guys want that? This is going to be a party, and it'll just make it a little bit easier. And it was not a like, all right, you need to buy this wine, type thing. And I feel like maybe that's like the thing that people have in their heads, that it's this is pressure thing versus like, I'm trying to make you, just as I'm trying to have a great dining experience for you, I'm trying to have you like have a great experience within your home where you're just comfortable and everything works and you're keeping your family healthy and you don't got like this nagging thing in the back of your mind if I need to fix this.
You got it, Michael. That's exactly it.
So, Brigham, one of the things that I noticed about Power Selling Pros is it seemed like you guys were really starting with, the CSR training. But then I've noticed that there's these two other services that are, equally valuable in my mind, at least, which is the after hours calls. And it seems at the same time you guys are getting into like the technician training with ride-alongs and things like that. Could you maybe just to focus in on like the technician stuff? Could you talk a little bit about that? What kind of got you guys into it, and what are some of the things that you're discovering as you're building out this service?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I had a client, Village Plumbing, and they said, you do all this stuff with CSRs. Do you ever do anything with technicians? And I said, well, what do you have in mind? I said, and he said, let's go for 90 days, a couple times a week. And I was like, well, he was in my hometown, so I figured let's do it.
Yeah.
And he went from 500,000 in service sales a month to 700,000 in service sales in 3 months.
Whoa.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Same
And
number
all
of
we
leads and
Yeah,
everything
and we just
else.
focused on soft skills, and those 6 points that I just went over with you are the exact same points that I taught their team over and over and over again: safety, comfort, fun, curious, options, yes or no. That's it. Kept it very, very simple, and just using same pattern for excellence, 8 principles, 1 outcome, that we've been teaching CSRs forever. All it is soft skills. We applied with technicians, and crazy thing. We put together a product where we do ride-alongs. We do an hour group training in the morning where we teach these 6 steps,
Mhm.
and then we do ride-alongs throughout the day with the technicians. And we're usually able to get in about 4 or 5 ride-alongs. And what we do is we get like a rental car. We meet on site with the tech. We go into the customer's home. We stay there till they sign. The homeowner signs on the dotted line. And then we gracefully bow out. We simply say, hey, Mr. Jones, I'm getting called to another job. You're in great hands with Phil. He's fantastic. And we bounce. And it's funny, too, because every time a technician meets with us, they say, okay, are you going to talk? Am I going to talk? And I said, we're going to talk, bro. We're going to
Mm.
talk. We're going to have a great time. Look, you're safe. You're comfortable. We're going to have fun, right?
Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing with the tech as I'm doing with the customer, and they catch on very quickly. They go,
By the
oh,
way, like, I mean, that's kind of how you want to act in normal life in your
sure.
relationships with people. The folks that you do speak with, like, wouldn't it be great if all your interactions where people are having a little bit of fun, they feel comfortable, they know that, there's safety there. You're not judging them. You're not, you know what I mean? You accept them for who they are.
I would say that most techs I work with are socially awkward,
Hmm.
and they may be good with their hands. They may be good at fixing things, but this is something that's not natural for them. It's something that they have to learn. And when they learn
So
it, it's going to make a difference in your company.
So I was listening to a training the other day, and they were saying, to tell somebody to be more charismatic, for example, it's kind of like the worst advice that you could give them because they're like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody who's socially awkward, you know, and the directive is we're going to make this person feel comfortable. You know, like what are the like the 1, 2, 3 about that? Is this shake their hand with a firm handshake, look them in the eye and smile? You know, like what type of details are you really are you providing these texts with?
This is going to sound really familiar, Michael. I want I want to make sure the technician is showing the customer that they understand their situation by listening. And I'm going to practice with them in the morning in the group training how to listen, what questions to ask, things like tell me more and that's not good, or wow, how long's that been going on?
Okay.
And then I'm going to have them listen, I'm going to have them care, and I'm going to have them reassure the customer that they've called the right place, that they're in good hands. I'm going to have them repeat exactly what happened over the phone.
Yeah.
So listening, caring, reassuring is the key to do it. They have an emotional need to feel understood, cared about, and reassured. You take care of those three things first. And I would sit right inside the front door, 10, maybe 15 minutes until the customer says, follow me, I want to show you something.
Okay.
So I don't ask to go to the box. I'm sitting there at the front door, talking with them, listening, caring, reassuring until they say, you know what, I want to show you something. Come here.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. There's a little slight digression, but like, I got married, like, thanks to some of like these skills.
Yeah.
So, I recently got married in June. Um, the woman of my dreams, like, quite honestly, she is so amazing. And, the crazy thing is I've known her since I was in high school. And we would she was in my friend group, and so I was in the friend zone for decades. And she was we'd with our friend group we'd go on camping trips, and so she'd be there. And I remember for years thinking to myself, like, oh man, we have so much in common, we have so much of the same friends. How come we can never connect? And then one year before I went on that camping trip, I'm like, I think the problem is that I'm trying too hard to impress her, because I like think she's so amazing and she's so beautiful and funny. And I'm like, instead of focusing on trying to impress her, I'm going to try to make her feel as comfortable as possible.
Smart.
And what that involved was, she would tell a joke and I would laugh. I mean, it was genuinely funny,
Yeah.
and then I would like get her speaking a little bit more. And it was like, I gotta tell you, Brigham, it was just like magic. It felt like magic. And, I mean, 4 years later, we just got married, and it's by far the best relationship that I've ever been in. And so, I mean, these tools that you're teaching people, like it extends way past like the career thing, they could get married because of
Yeah.
it.
You got it. You don't
Yeah.
live to work, you work to live. But
Yeah.
if you use it, we are each other's clinical material.
I've never heard
And
that.
so in this environment, we have the ability, as we interact with others, to work on our skill set, our ability uh, to influence people, to win them over.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do it first is to recognize that I'm enough. I'm
Mm.
enough. That's important. And then once you've gotten to the point where you've realized, you know what, I'm enough.
A lot of
And
people struggle with that.
yeah,
So I've struggled
well,
with it
yeah, we
tons.
we 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 try to be something that we're not because we don't think we're enough. So you've got to fix that first.
Yeah.
And then once you realize that you're enough, or you've convinced yourself that you're enough, now you can step outside yourself to understand somebody else, to care about them, to reassure them. And when you do that genuinely,
To give to them.
yes, you got it.
Yeah.
When we do that, when we turn outward and we're serving them in that way,
Yeah.
we find that we'll get the response that we're looking for because we're taking care of their emotional need. They want to feel understood. They want to feel cared about. They want to feel reassured. Quite frankly, they want to feel like they're enough. They want to feel worthy. They want to feel accepted. And that's how you do it psychologically.
And it's really, it's such a beautiful thing.
Now, let me tell you about Booked really quickly.
Sure.
So Booked, 3 years ago, I had a client that said, hey, it would just be easier if you guys were answering phones for us. And I was like, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? And then I started talking to partner, Barry. And Barry said, you know what? I think we can make this happen. I said, cool, but you're running it. And he said, all right, sounds good. And so we started this business, invested a bunch of money into it, and it's called Booked by PSP. And that's the website as well. You just go to bookedbypsp.com. And we've got about 70 companies that we answer phones for now. And we have a 92% booking ratio. And we take them
Oh,
through the
wow.
same, we take them through the same training process as our CSRs in our program. We have over 1,000 CSRs in our certification program at PowerSelling Pros. We take them through 4 levels of certification. It takes about a year and a half to complete. It's a bit of a university. But by the time we're done, they're booking calls, they're wowing customers, they're making sure that you're the only ones going out to the home, giving your technicians the best chance to make a sell. And they're selling service agreements. So they're making more money, they're self-reliant, they work more autonomously, they have a whole lot more confidence, and everybody wins. The owner wins, CSRs win.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I pulled up the website, just so you guys can see what it looks like. Booked by Power Selling Pros. You guys have a wait list right now for this service, as I understand.
Yeah, get on it quick. We're training CSRs as quickly as we can. What we're doing is we're doing everything we possibly can to maintain the booking ratio, maintain the experience. The one problem with night answering services is and weekend services is that their closing ratio, their booking ratio is atrocious. It's 20% on average.
Certainly.
So for us to stay at 92% is important for PowerSelling Pros, and it's certainly important for Booked.
Extraordinary. I had a question, and then I completely blanked, and so
it happens.
Yeah, I'm hoping. All right, now, wait, no, I had the thread for a second, and then it. Oh yes, now I remember. Okay, great. So I always think of like I have a systems thinking in terms of like where like all right, we need to train our CSRs. Power Selling Pros is an amazing resource. Training our technicians. Ride-alongs and things like that. Is there kind of like say for somebody who's not at that level yet for outsourcing it, the training aspect of it, is there like a minimum cadence that a business owner should be looking at on a weekly basis at listening to calls? Like, is it like, hey, as a business owner at a very bare minimum, twice a week for an hour, each, you should be working with your CSRs, doing a type of ride along, like what would you look at as kind of like a nice like cadence for something like that?
The moment I provide a cadence, Michael, nobody's going to do it. Why? We're working with business owners that don't like homework. They're not going to do it. So I could give you a cadence and it's going to fall on deaf ears. They may do it for 2 or 3 weeks. I got a better idea. Find somebody to just do it for you. Find somebody to monitor those calls. Find somebody to coach those calls on a regular basis so you don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, I don't know anybody aside from us that does that, but that's what I would do. Get somebody who will just go and do it for you. If I'm a business owner, I want to get as much off my plate as possible. Don't give me one more thing to do. Give me one less thing to do. And so if it's me, outsource it. Get somebody else to listen to those calls. Get somebody else to coach them on a regular basis. Find somebody that's all that they do. Right? Same thing with the technicians. I mean, how many meetings should I have with technicians? And how many ride-alongs should I do with them? Why would I even bring it up? Mr. Contractor, you're not going to do it.
You're not going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Just outsource it. Focus on growing your business. Don't get stuck in it.
Yeah. So when they hire Power Selling Pros, how often will you work with the CSRs and how often do you work like with the technicians?
Yeah. So we coach CSRs one-on-one twice a month for about a half hour.
The whole group of CSRs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a group call for a half an hour twice a month.
Yeah. And we like to go out twice a year to do ride-alongs with techs. Now, in between, ideally, there's a way to record technicians and their jobs so we can provide coaching to them on a regular basis as well.
Gorilla, right?
Exactly. So how the technology is there. You just got to leverage it. What's that?
How effective has that been using that technology?
Well, we have the ability to listen and we have the ability to coach. The downside with technicians is they're in between jobs. It's really hard to get them over the phone. So what we found is the easiest thing to do is to do a 5-minute video. Hey, we heard this on your last call. Practice this. Work on this skill set. So little short minute learning tips
Yeah.
that they can listen to in between calls is the best thing we've. And we use that. We do that through an online tool called Tech Talks.
Okay. So Tech Talks is how you deliver,
The videos.
okay, the feedback to the technicians.
That's right.
All right. Well, we'll bring them. I have one more question for you. Because I know we're running close to our time. I heard in another interview that you did that you have 3 Audis. So could you tell me what's the story with the 3 Audis, and maybe like what's the thread between buying Audis versus buying a Honda Civic, and how that relates to selling in home services?
I can't believe I said that. That's embarrassing. Okay, so first of all, it's true. My son has one. It's used.
Of course, you have to do that.
And then I've got an SQ5. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And my wife's got a Q5 as well. Now, I found that for handling and in the snow, it's the best car you can buy. I
live in Colorado. Without a doubt, that size vehicle, throw some snow tires on her.
Yeah, the technology on the handling for an Audi is incredible, right? Now, the only reason why I brought up a Honda, there's nothing wrong with a Honda. I'm simply saying when I talk to people and I ask, look, you guys, what is the most sensible car to buy? Well, the most sensible car to buy, the most economically sound car to buy is like a Honda Civic because it lasts forever till the tires fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask everybody in the room, how many of you have a Honda Civic? And nobody raises their hands. And so why do I even bring that up? Well, because people don't just buy on the lowest price and the most economically sound. They buy emotionally. They don't buy logically. This is why we go to Chick-fil-A over McDonald's. This is why we pay the extra $2. We pay for the experience. We're paying more. We're waiting longer, which defies everything a contractor, an average contractor talks about. Well, I have to give a more competitive price. No, you don't. I have to get it installed today. No, you don't. No, you don't. If Chick-fil-A's got people waiting and they're charging more, if In-N-Out's got people waiting and they're charging more, what that means is that people are buying in a different way than we believe. They're buying emotionally. And what we need to do is get good at connecting with them. We need to overcome our social awkwardness, get outside ourselves, serve them so that we have a relationship buying experience as opposed to a transactional buying experience.
Yeah, it reminds me of, like, there's this phrase. I'm gonna mess it up, but it's something like, you're like selling with your own wallet. It's almost like this idea that, like, I'm going to offer these things to people, but you're thinking what you would want to buy versus like what they are actually interested in. And that's what I really loved about this whole, like, hey, no, the analogy of understanding, like, if you wanted the most logical vehicle, everyone would be driving Civics. But people want more, and so don't sell with your own wallet. Like meet them where they're at, give them these options, and you might be surprised. Like, yes, the Civic might get the job done, but they might be interested in the Audi. They might be interested, in the Benz.
Look, when I'm at a stoplight and I want to get through it quicker than the other cars, I'm not doing that in a Honda. I can do that in an Audi. You see how I justified that logically?
Yeah.
The emotion drives the logic.
Totally. Love that. All right, Brigham. Well, we're close to our time. I think this has been absolutely amazing. Where should people contact you? Is there any other, things that you wanted to share with the audience?
Yeah, just go to powersellingpros.com. On the front page there, you'll see a demo link. Just click on that demo link and let's take you through a demo. Let's see if there's a fit here with the services that we provide, whether it's CSRs, techs, or what have you. What's that?
Oh, it's about, look like?
It's about, well, it depends on you. I mean, it could be as short as 20 minutes. If there's not a fit, we'll tell you.
Okay.
If there is a fit, we may be talking for about 40, 45 minutes, but we're just talking about what your needs are Okay, you'll notice that we'll be doing a lot of listening, caring, and reassuring. And that'll be great to experience, right? You'll be able to get to experience it firsthand, how it works.
Very cool. Well, everybody, I highly encourage you guys to check out Power Selling Pros. Take Brigham up on that, gracious offer to check out a demo, see how this could help grow your business. Brigham, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.